What is going on, lads? Hope you're all well. Welcome back to YouTube. Highlight video today of one of the most anticipated records on this channel. Some of the Architects album reactions that I've covered in the past that are currently on my channel have gotten ridiculous amounts of views and really well received. I still get messages to this day about my album reactions for Architects and people saying that they still come back to this album reaction to remind themselves of how much they enjoy this album, which is such a cool little thing to be a part of and be involved with in any way, shape or form. So today we're going back to 2009. Hollow Crown. I have checked out the entire Architects discography. We did Nightmares, Ruin, Hollow Crown, The Here and Now, Daybreaker, and I've just wrapped up listening to For Those That Wish to Exist in its entirety as well. So I've covered the entire basis of the Architects discography in preparation for Friday when their new album drops. So if you want to get access to all of the album reactions that are not on YouTube, they're all on my Patreon page. I'll be doing maybe 2 more highlight videos throughout the week. I'll be doing a Daybreaker highlight reaction and also a For Those That Wish to Exist highlight reaction as well. So if you want to get access to the full videos and you don't have to wait around, all of that is on Patreon, lads. Any support is much appreciated, but otherwise, let's go. Fun fact, 77% of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed. That number is absurdly high. YouTube's recommended is so good nowadays that you don't really need to click the subscribe button, but it does really help channels out a lot. So if you are watching and you do enjoy my content regularly, please do consider hitting the subscribe button. Now let's get into the video. All right, folks, this is history. Fucking hell, like. This is the start of the album. Alright, we're in, I guess. Okay, now it's starting to sound a little bit like Sam, eh? Yes, there's those chords coming in. I know those chords. Trademark Tom Searle stuff right here. Oh my god! What an opener! Holy shit! Oh. Good fucking morning, San Diego. I'm in Ireland. Oh, yes. Yes. Is this when Architects started to become really good? Was this their first really fucking sick song? Yeah, this is the Architects I've come to know. Those Tom Searle chords, man, iconic. Fucking hell, man, we're not playing around. The boys are just saying, right, we've had Sam in for an album, let's make a fucking statement now. Jesus! Never heard Architects in this context. Again, I'm hearing mad Ollie Sykes here. Fuck yeah. Now it makes sense why people wanted me to check this out. It's like an even more aggressive version of what comes after these albums, with the ones I've already heard from like 2014 and shit. But holy hell on that. Oh, that was the most satisfying thing I've ever done in my entire life. That intro alone, playlist. If you got me doing this and fucking flinging my hands around, playlist, that was the first kind of bit of downtime where we got a little bit more hopeful and maybe a little bit more emotionally inclined, as opposed to just like anger. Well, I'm not mad at it, man. Cunts. Oh, this is such good energy. I love it. Fuck. And he knocks something over. I don't know why this is getting me so much, man. I haven't had a fucking reaction like this in a while. I just feel like I'm in that Architect's bag now. Okay. Man, they have me fucking doing this shit. Whoa, what do they call this? It's like hula dancing without the hula. What? What is it called? The worm. No, the worm's when you go on the ground. Shut up, Drew. I wonder how this was received at the time from Architects fans. Did people hate this? Because of the clean singing? Fuck yeah. I'm sorry for taking so long to get this album, lads. Even some of the fucking nuance to the way you say dream, it feels very like breathy, like Ollie Sykes. Just a bad dream. I'm sure there was a lot of like influence back and forth between the two bands in the earlier stages. What era of Bring Me was this album? 2009, Bring Me the Horizon. What did they release around that time? 2009 was like Suicide Seed and There's a Hell, Believe Me, I haven't checked out this album. Haven't checked out this album. Haven't checked out this album. Haven't checked out... have I? But Architects seemingly were doing the kind of clean singing stuff before Bring Me, which is interesting because I know Count Your Blessings and There Is a Hell, I don't think they feature much singing on it. Falsetto from the Samuel. Dan has been incredible on the album so far. Very noticeable. I know there's more bands than just Architects and Bring Me in the UK. I don't know exactly which bands in the UK were like popping off at the time in which this album and Bring Me's albums came out, you know, Count Your Blessings and There Is a Hell. From what I'm hearing here, like riff-wise and stuff, it sounds like some of Bring Me's like later stuff around Sempiternal and stuff, some of these riffs. Did Bring Me take a lot of influence from Architects? I'm sure it was a lot of back and forth, you know, between the two. I know like more recently, I think Architects have taken a lot more inspiration from Bring Me, but it feels like these are two bands that have just been battling it out for years in a healthy competition way, not like they hate each other. I'm sure they're great friends. And Sam sounds so much like Ollie. And then the riffs sound like some of Bring Me's later stuff. This is making me want to do a Bring Me the Horizon deep dive as well on some of the older albums, just to kind of like hear the early influences and shit. Am I correct in saying that? The like really fucking popular era of Bring Me the Horizon, when that started with like Sempiternal and stuff, was there elements of that music that was inspired by the earlier days of Architects? Because it does feel that way. What Bring Me? This just sounds like Bring Me. Which now makes me think that Bring Me copied Architects. Jesus. Oh my god, man. Yeah, Dan and Tom are just fucking ping pong back and forth, table tennis. Oh my god, Dan! Bro is fucking relentless with it. Holy shit, Dan. This is the most he's ever gone off in any of the albums I've heard. Again, this is what I mean. More considered songwriting on this album. It's becoming evident that the band is maturing. Oh, yeah. They really locked in for this album, eh? So sick, man. Feels like the first like proper breakdown that we've heard. There's probably been a few other ones, but this feels like the most obvious. Here is the breakdown moment. There's been like a lot of riff downs and shit and heavy moments and groovy sections, but did he just, was that the first one? I completely forgot the Architects were the Blah band for a second. Was it the first recorded Blah? It kind of felt more of like a brech. It didn't really have the L. Brech. That's more what it was. Yeah. Kind of like Dead Man Talking here. Ooh. Kind of like a Loathe vibe here. Very somber all of a sudden. Not mad on this section, but god damn, man, they really fucking sent it on this album. This is cool. Sounds like a scratchy guitar in the back. Completely different to anything we've heard in the discography so far. Man. Yeah, like completely different to, again, in the mindset of someone listening to this in 2009. I'm curious to see if people would have been into this when it dropped initially, because it's so far from what we heard on the first two albums. Alright lads, so we've just wrapped up Hollow Crown, an album that I probably should have gotten to a lot sooner. Obviously, we checked out Holy Hell, All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us, and Lost Forever, Lost Together in and around the same time. That was when I'd first kind of taken a real deep dive into Architects, and I never really seen much people telling me to go back. It was always that like trio of albums that people were like, you need to check these out, which for good reason. They're all fucking phenomenal albums in their own right, but I never really seen any love for Hollow Crown and Daybreaker in the comment section on YouTube. It was mainly those three albums, and then I just kind of moved on because I assumed there wasn't half as much interest in me checking out those albums than there was in the three mentioned already. So obviously finally gotten around to one of the absolute essential Architects albums, and I very much so look forward to Daybreaker now, because a lot of people were on Patreon. Well, not a lot of people, a handful of people. And I've seen on like Twitch streams and stuff, my Discord, people saying like, oh, I can't wait for Drew to check out Hollow Crown. So it's nice to know that at least all of the people that were hyping this up weren't necessarily wrong, because it definitely is the first album where I really hear the Architects that I've grown to love, that sound from, again, those 3 albums I've mentioned, from, you know, All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us, Holy Hell, and Lost Forever, Lost Together. This is the first time from the 3 albums we've heard prior to this, or 2 albums we've heard prior to this, was Ruin and Nightmares, their first 2 albums, where I actually hear the early stages of the development of the sound that came in like the mid portion of their discography. So for me overall, I think the first portion of the album, like as we've seen from all the tracks that I did like from it, I mean, from the 12 tracks, I liked 3 towards the start. I liked Early Grave, Numbers Count for Nothing, and Follow the Water. You could probably swap and change some of the tracks in there. There might have been 1 or 2 tracks additionally added there, and maybe take out like Early Grave and Numbers Count for Nothing. I'm surprised to even have anything, because obviously this came out in 2009. My taste has definitely evolved into something that is a little bit more inclined to listen to more modern sounding stuff. So something to get like 3 playlisted tracks from an album that came out in 2009 is still sick. So I think overall maybe fatigue kicked in a little bit towards the end, because the sound is, although it is Architects, it doesn't feature some of the like beautiful melodies and just honestly just the melodies that a lot of their music has in, again, the mid portion of the discography with those albums I've already mentioned. A lot of like great guitar work melodies, and although there was very heavy and very distinct Architects riffs in this, there wasn't as many like memorable bouncy lead riffs and melodic riffs in this as they have in the later parts of the discography. Also from a vocal standpoint, again, it's the first time I've really heard like Sam come through, which has been really, really weird, because obviously we've done the 2 albums. One of the albums didn't feature Sam, their first album, and like from a musical standpoint and an actual composition standpoint, it was very mathy and it didn't sound like Architects at all, including the fact that Sam didn't exist on that album. He existed, but just not on the album. It just didn't sound like Architects to me. I was like, this is not Architects. It was a good one to listen to, but like, we'll not be returning to that for any reason. And then the one after that with Ruin, again, Sam introduced to the album, they got a little bit more like metalcore leaning as opposed to the kind of the earlier mathcore days, but Sam didn't sound like Sam to me at all. Like when I really locked in and tried to hear Sam, I could maybe hear him, but like it just, his sound was completely different. His delivery, his cadence was so different. This album, of course, is the first album where I'm really hearing the guitars come in, like that trademark Tom Searle sound. Sam starting to sound like the Sam we all grew to know and love. So, and even just the way in which they're writing songs feels a lot more considered. I know it's only like a 2-year gap between this and Ruin, I believe. Is it 2 years? Let me confirm that. 2 years. But it does feel like in those 2 years they grew a lot as a band in terms of like their overall compositional skills and just their consideration for songwriting. I think it's a little bit more considered. It just feels like hard to really quantify exactly what I mean and like specifically say what it is, but it's just some of the moments and the nuance to some of the tracks, like I mentioned at the start, where there was a section in one of the songs where instead of going into like a build up and into a breakdown, they kind of transitioned into like a key shift, and they got really like uplifting and atmospheric, and it was very emotional and hard hitting in a different way as opposed to it just being heavy. So that was really, really different as well. So it does feel like this is like the start of their real, like not just a garage band. I'm not saying that the early 2 albums were garage band quality, but you know, it feels more considered and not just like your average band making music. It felt like, okay, this is like starting to show early signs of a band that can go on to be the powerhouse that they've obviously become. Dan Searle is insane on this album. Like some of the moments, his fucking like insane stuff. The Bring Me the Horizon comparison is something I want to bring up and maybe pose as a question to you guys who maybe have been listening to fucking metalcore and shit for like since this album dropped and even before that. Is that true what I was saying with like a lot of the moments in this sound a lot like Bring Me, but when I look back at Bring Me's discography and I see the albums that they were dropping around about this time when this released, it does feel like a lot of Bring Me stuff from like Sempiternal and that era was maybe inspired by some of this stuff, because Sempiternal came out like a few years after this album. So I always kind of thought that Bring Me led the charge in like the UK metalcore scene, but it does seem like the earlier days, if I'm just including the 2 powerhouses that are in like UK metalcore right now, I'm sure there's more bands, but off the top of my head, it's Architects and Bring Me the Horizon. It always felt like Architects just, it feels like every band just follows Bring Me, but it does seem like in the earlier years, maybe Bring Me were taking some inspiration from Architects. I don't know, I'm sure they're closely linked all the time, but Sam sounds very much so like Ollie Sykes, or the way in which Ollie Sykes sounds now at least, and some of the riffs and stuff feel very, very Bring Me in the later portion of Bring Me's career. So it does feel like maybe Bring Me might have taken inspiration from Architects. Obviously today, you know, Jordan Fish is working with Architects on their new album, and he obviously was such a big part of like the likes of Sempiternal and Bring Me the Horizon's career, getting them to the level that they're at now. So there's always this like weird crossover between the two bands. Being from the UK, obviously they're going to have loads of connections and stuff like that. So it always seems like they're always like playing ping pong back and forth with each other. Like, you know, maybe that's the case even as back as far as this album, where they still taking inspiration. So that's my question to you a lot who've been around the scene. Am I spot on with saying that? Am I wrong? Is that just complete fluke that they just happen to sound similar, or was there always this comparison between the two bands back in the day? Anyway, lads, that's all from me. Still not sure how I'm going to chop these up for YouTube. If they're going to go on YouTube, I'm not entirely sure. So if you are watching this on YouTube, please consider getting involved on Patreon. It'd be much appreciated. And anyone who's watching on Patreon right now, you fucking legends, thank you so much for the support. I'm signing out. Look out for The Here and Now, which is next. Can't say I'm like massively excited for that album because I haven't seen any response to it in terms of like people saying you need to check this out. But obviously following that is Daybreaker. And then, like I said, if we get a chance, we will go and check out the For Those That Wish to Exist album. So yeah, that's all from me, lads. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're sub to the channel if this is on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, please leave it a like. That's all from me. Cheers. See you in the next one. Goodbye.